help a job seeker create a job board resume or job board network profile that gets positive results?
Okay, so this is actually one of the questions on our list. So how do we help a job seeker create that profile or the social profile or whatever that will help him or her get the results that are desired? I'm going to start down there with the profile people.
Well, I think one of the main things for a job seeker to consider when they're creating a resume or creating a profile online is to think about the keywords. A lot of it has to do with matching the keywords on your resume and your profile to the types of positions that you're applying for, and to make sure that those are quality keywords and that they really do in fact match the job seeker's experience as well. You also want to make sure that for your resume that it's clean. You know, a lot of the resumes now, I would say almost the majority of them are being brought through applicant tracking systems. So, you know, they're going through robots that are reading the resume. So making sure that it's a clean and concise resume that can be read by a robot easily is another major point that the job seeker should be aware of.
All right, definitely. I'm definitely interested in hearing what Monster has to say, because the size of the database at Monster is particularly overwhelming.
It could be if it weren't for our super intelligent semantic searching, which makes finding that perfect resume in the haystack, that needle in the haystack, so very easy. When I talk to people who are fixing who are preparing their online profiles and their resumes, and you all I think are seeing this too and are aware of it to some degree, what I find is really important is to make sure that you are telling relevant information and using the space wisely and not having a lot of irrelevant information. An example of irrelevant information I find all the time on resumes, even professionally prepared resumes, not prepared by anyone in this room I'm sure, is irrelevant information that is beneath job description, lists of job duties and not lists of job accomplishments. So if I find a resume and someone's last job title was, you know, copywriter for online shoe store, and the first line of their job description says wrote copy for shoes for an online website, that is unnecessary information. I would much rather see what kind of traffic their copy garnered, what kind of increase in sales that their efforts garnered, and things like that. And I find a lot of resumes don't do that. The other thing that happens on resumes, I think, is information overload. If you know that a recruiter and a hiring manager is spending 10 to 20 seconds looking at a resume, and you have a lot of irrelevant information on there, that's a big mistake. An example of that is someone who is mid-career, mid-40s, applying for management level positions, and they have on their resume the fact that they were a congressional page in the 80s, or the fact that they, all these old data, the fact that they were an admin assistant in 1991. This is not information that's going to get them that management job, because they're not talking to skills that are being sought now. So I think that's the other area that I would really advise job seekers, is make sure that 10 or 20 second look, they are telling the person exactly who they are, what they have to offer now.
I think it's really important to keep the information fresh. In a past life, I was a recruiter and I bought access to the Monster database. And I know that there were ways to search for it. One was to search for the resumes that had been posted in the first 1 to 30 days, and the ones that are posted most recently come up first. Recently I was talking to a recruiter for an engineering company that hires for very specific positions in electrical engineering and lighting. And she said that even though she recruits PhDs and she looks for PhDs, if something is 35 days old, the chances are good that she's not going to go back to that resume as quickly. So I think refreshing your profiles once a month, and even if you're just changing one word, we'll pop that up to the front, and I think that's an important takeaway for job seekers.
So in my experience, when people are looking at a morass of resumes and trying to figure out what to make out of it, there's probably three things that are going through their minds. One is they may have 5 or 6 things that they consider requirements of the job. Don't make it hard for them to see those things. If it's a programming job and you want to see HTML, PHP, SQL Server, and you want to see those words, you you need to have those words easy for that person to find. So that means the resume has to be clean. I think Sophie, you said that, right? So that information can come out. But the other thing I would add to that is in the world of hiring people, nothing has changed with the buyer here. People who are buying things and people who are hiring you or buying you, they buy benefits. So make sure when you itemize the things that you've done for past employers that you actually lay out what the benefits were to the company you're working for. And I think that's a really important thing for people to do.
Actually, if you don't mind, I don't have anything else to add because I thought those answers were great. But I will answer the previous question really quick if you don't mind. If you were advising all of your candidates, the number one thing I would suggest you to do in terms of how they work with job boards, and Sophie said it, I think, it's been said a couple of times, they have to set up job alerts to be alerted every time a new job gets added to every database that matches their criteria. And the interesting fact is that we have found that when a candidate goes in and creates an alert, on average, they create 8 alerts. Meaning they create 8 different alerts for different titles, perhaps different locations, different industries, perhaps different functions, because a lot of people, I think we heard earlier today, people could change careers entirely. Set up alerts for different types of jobs that you might be interested in, and that way you're constantly being updated with what's being added to all the different boards that you set it up with.
Now, I'm actually going to play off of that and answer give a little comment on creating a profile or a resume or whatever that gets a little better results. I have a lot of people contact me and say, oh, I want to connect to you on LinkedIn, or I'm having the worst time and I can't find anything and nobody's finding me, and what's the problem? And I go look at their LinkedIn profile and I email them and I say, I have absolutely no idea what you are trying to do. Your profile statement is so vague or so unbelievably inclusive. Well, but I can search for jobs in this field or this field or this field. Well, that's all wonderful, but as far as a recruiter is concerned, a recruiter needs to come to your profile and be able to say, this person does X. Fantastic. Now, of course, the next question your client is going to say to you is, well, how do I create separate LinkedIn profiles for every type of job I'm looking for, because they're setting up 22 different alerts. They need to come into a focus. Maybe they can focus on an industry, maybe they can focus on one position for a little while, or one job family for a little while, and see how that rolls for you. Or maybe we have all these different profile sites. LinkedIn is going to carry one. ZoomInfo will carry a different one. Google Plus will be a third. BeKnown will be a fourth. If these tools are all available to us, and we heard Susan talking about, the utilization of all these different tools yesterday, why not try using them in this manner? We'll create profiles, but maybe we'll specify each profile will be a little bit different to let me get that particular focus up at the front. I'm just tossing it out because, frankly, it just came to me because Tony was saying. So I leave it to you guys to tell me whether or not I am totally whacked on that job, okay?